I'll be frank about it.
Yeah.
I can't see Keir Starmer surviving if we continue on like this. I saw him, I said, why didn't you say it? He said, I didn't want the job. And from that minute, that very minute, we became friends for the next 50 years. Whatever people think, the Labour Party at the moment is the only vehicle that we've got realistically, electorally at the moment. Seamus comes in and goes, the manifesto's been leaked. Yeah. Stop making these blunders, because the people in charge don't seem to have any political nous. And when we're faced with such an overwhelming threat at the moment from the far right, we can't allow anything to divide us.
John Mcdonnell, Member of Parliament for Hayes and Harlington. How you doing?
Very good. Yeah. Excellent.
So I want to start by doing a little bit of history, and then we'll move forward to today, if that's all right. You got elected in 1997.
Yep.
Before that, you were in the GLC.
I was the GLC councillor for here, yep.
But let's go even a little bit further back. What got you involved in politics?
I was always involved in politics.
Yeah.
Very quickly, my background, because it's quite boring. Born in Liverpool, 1951, so I'm quite old. My dad a docker and my mum a cleaner. So my dad automatically is involved in the unions. His dad was on the docks before him as well. We're an Irish Catholic family, basically, in Liverpool. My dad was active in the trade union movement. We moved south, because my mum came from Norfolk. They met each other when he was in the army before he went to Germany during the war. Right. So we moved. Liverpool was, at that point in time, we lived just off the Scotland Road. You know, they describe it now as one of the worst slums in Europe. We just called it homes. But, so we moved south because there's no work. So we moved south. My dad went on the buses. My mum worked behind the biscuit counter in British Home Stores, which was fantastic. Broken biscuits, so he had was wonderful. And my dad was involved in the union on the docks, but then when he went on the buses, he became the branch secretary. So trade union politics was always there. Even from kids. Even when, you know, in those days you'd have to collect the subs. So I'd help him on that, you know, when he did his books and things like that. So it was always there. There was always political discussion, but from a trade union and working class perspective. We were moved out of the house, in the house we had in Liverpool. We moved south. We then moved into a council prefab, which was fantastic, a prefabricated building they put up after something. And my dad swore by it.
Where was that?
It was in just outside Great Yarmouth, in a place called Galston. And then when they knocked the prefabs down, we moved into a council house. That was a day of celebration. You know, the first time me and my brother had our own bedrooms, garden front and rear, and it was, you know, everyone on the estate was the same basically. And because there was full employment virtually at that time, you had a decent standard of living that maybe other generations would dream of, you know, free education, free healthcare, that sort of thing.
And a council house at that point.
And you had a stable situation.
I want to fast forward to when you decided to run to be an MP.
Okay.
And the involvements particularly of Peter MacDonald, because we've just lost him, but he was really influential in my life, clearly very influential in yours. Okay. And if you don't mind, I want to mention him, because without him I'm not sat here, and you're not sat here.
I know. I still think he's going to walk through the door. That's the problem. Very quickly, I'll fast forward, right? But I'll go back a little bit. What happened was, I joined the Labour Party here. I'm really active in the local community politics, active in Labour Party politics. I'm a sort of sub-agent for my branch, that sort of thing. Get nominated to the management committee of the Constitutional Labour Party, turn up on my first meeting, and I'm nominated to become vice chair of the party. And I get elected, and what's going on here? No one knows me. And I was asking around, and then I realised I'd got elected because they were voting for a person called Peter MacDonald, who was there, who everyone knew.
They thought
and it was a local councillor. They thought I was him, so I saw him. I said, "Why didn't you say it?" He said, "I didn't want the job." And from that very minute, we became friends for the next 50 years. And anyway, Peter then got me involved in the organisation. At that point in time, we were trying to deselect our MP. He was a reasonable guy, but he was on the right and we were a left party. Tried to do a deal with Michael Foot, the leader of the party, to put him in the House of Lords. He didn't. We deselected him, but they then imposed him, and then he split off to the SDP, and we lost the seat to the Tories. That's a lesson for me. I continued.
What year was that you lost the seat?
1979.
Right.
No, 80 must have been 83.
Right.
Yeah.
So the split with the SDP.
Yeah, 79 we won. We tried to deselect our MP. He was imposed. He won again, and then when we got to 83,
the
SDP was present.
Yeah.
The SDP allowed the Thatcher government to be elected, basically. Anyway, we lost the seat to the Tories. I then, during that period, I was so active that when the chance came for us to elect a councillor for the GLC, I became the candidate and I won the election for the GLC in 81, and then became chair of finance and deputy leader of the GLC, working with Ken Livingstone. Then, when the GLC was abolished, I became a bureaucrat. Basically, I became a civil servant in local government, and I became chief executive of the Association of London Boroughs, which represented all the local authorities in London. And so I was a professional civil servant then, but I wanted to get back into politics. I stood in 92, and this was largely Peter MacDonald organising with his team here to get me selected. We lost by 54 votes in 92, and it was because we had the poll tax. 5,000 people dropped off the register like that, and they were largely working class people. They would have been our vote.
Yeah.
We lost by 54 votes, literally.
54 votes?
54 votes.
Did you do a recount?
4 recounts.
You couldn't find 54 votes?
Peter Mack organised the recounts, and then we discovered afterwards the Irish Club had gone on a golfing tour of 100 votes had gone. Anyway, Peter Mack gets to work again, literally. From that Thursday to Saturday morning, we were out campaigning again, and then we came back in 97 and won it and held it ever since.
Yeah. So, I want to give you a lot of credit on this because I've campaigned in over 100 constituencies in the UK. You're going to be uncomfortable with it, I don't care. There are very few constituencies that actually have a personal vote, right? Where you knock on the door and people will go, I'm voting for person rather than party, right? Now, you've taken this seat, which used to be a very strong Tory seat, and it's become a Labour seat now. And a lot of people, I'll give you an example. I knocked on a door in 2017 here, where someone said, I don't like that Jeremy Corbyn or that lefty, but I'm voting for John McDonnell, right? Which I thought was funny, but it gives you an indication. So I'm not just trying to big you up. What advice, how have you done that? How is it that even people who shouldn't traditionally vote Labour will vote for you?
Yeah, I'm never sure about the personal vote, to be honest. I don't know what scale it's on. I can never be sure about that. But my advice to all the incoming MPs as well is make sure that literally your main concentration is on your constituency. Your job is to represent your constituents. Simple as that. So when people ask me, how do you make decisions in Parliament? What I say, basically, my first point of call is what effects will it have on my constituents, full stop. And then after that, then it's about what effect it is, both in the country overall and globally, whatever. And then thirdly, it is party interest. It has to be like that, you know.
I've spent a lot of my political life in this room, right? Learning how to Helen taught me how to campaign. You taught me how to do politics, really. And so you're to blame. I was sat here once waiting for you to see you. And Helen gets off the phone with you and she goes, oh, bloody hell, he's taking the bus in. And I went, what do you mean? She's like, he's going to walk in with a pile of casework because he's going to talk to everyone on that bus.
Well,
but that's why people, because then you're right, people were like, even people who might politically disagree with you on X, Y, and Z, they'll go, he picked up my casework on the bus. So the reason I'm raising this is because some new MPs might be watching this who'll be going, how do I turn my marginal seat into a strong Labour seat, for example, right?
I go in the bus and tube every day when I'm going to Parliament, whatever. And people say hello. There's a bit of banter as well, which I quite like. We do pick up casework. Walking through the town centre, we pick up a fair bit of casework that way, but that's fine. Yeah. And in some ways, better to do it that way informally than have people waiting like a surgery time, that sort of stuff. The key thing for us as well is when there's a community issue, like there's antisocial behaviour in a particular issue, or third runway or something like that, we've got to get to that issue rapidly. Otherwise, others politically might exploit it. So, for example, on one of the estates where we had real problems with the National Front and the BNP, what we tried to do is not allow them the room to exploit a local issue and we'd get there first and get it resolved if we could. Okay, oh my goodness.
Look, this is you looking a little bit younger.
That must have been 92 or 97, yeah.
Who else have we got?
These are just a range of individuals. This one here. We did a campaign to develop a country park on a derelict piece of fielding over the other side of Hayes, and it became a country park. And this is Dot Dell. She brought a group of people together. And again, each one of these is an individual campaign where someone has actually made a significant achievement.
Let's talk about 2017 and 2019 quickly.
Yeah, okay.
You obviously, Jeremy gets elected. I don't want to do too much of that because that has been really done. Yeah. Jeremy becomes the Labour Party leader. Then we go into the 2017 election, and the 2017 result was really surprising. We were like 2,000 votes away from government. When did you know? Oh shit! I might become the chancellor of this country.
Our figures coming in from around, the polls were really against us.
Yeah,
the polls were looking all the way through the election campaign.
I mean, that's why she called the election.
That's right. That we were going to get hammered, and we were 20 points behind at the beginning of the campaign. And I told everyone, and no one believed me, but I said those polls will narrow dramatically by the end of this campaign. And I said for our side, we're in shouting distance here. And all the feed that was coming back from around the country about the enthusiasm, Jeremy's doing all those huge meetings, and the enthusiasm, and on the day itself you got the impression people were pouring out to vote.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm given the task, I was given it both at times, I'm given the task to send out to the Elstree studio, it was then, to do the poll as that comes in.
Right.
Yeah. On the night, so they're polling all day and whatever. So I go in, I've got James Mills with me, who's our press officer then, and of course I've prepared in my own mind what I say on whatever it comes out, and I was expecting it to be much closer than everyone thought, but I also was prepared in case we got hammered. Anyway, we go in, the exit poll comes up, and we're there the same as the Tories virtually. I've got a Tory minister sitting beside me who's literally almost having a coronary, and I had to hold his hand. I said, it's only a poll. I've had a heart attack. I thought I was doing CPR at one point. Anyway, Dimbleby's there and it comes up and that's it. And I said the usual thing, which was great, that's great, but let's see what it's like in the morning. And that was it, And we were nearly there. We were nearly there.
But be honest, like how as amazing as it was, you've done, like, you've defied all the odds and all that kind of stuff. The anxiety to I've got to meet expectations and run this. Yeah. Were you feeling that? Like,
No, I wasn't really. No, I was ready.
I'd be having a heart attack.
No, I was ready for it. I was ready.
But you were saying that, like,
I'm
even
not being arrogant here.
But you've been saying for as long as I've known you, the left has to be ready for government.
Yeah, I've always said that we've got to be prepared for going to government next week. So I'm not being arrogant. I was prepared for it. I was really up for it, and I wanted it as well. We'd fought a heavy campaign, and we had all those detailed policies that we'd worked out. We had a good team, and we'd met with the civil servants in advance, to sort out how our manifesto would be implemented. And I thought if we came in on a wave of popularity in the way, we could take people with us. And it was also, the most important thing was, remember, I'd been dealing with for 2 years virtually coups on a monthly basis against us with PLP. So the issue for me, getting to government, and it's the Ralph Miliband final book, where for the first time he acknowledges there could be a socialist government in this country, a Labour government. And his analysis then, it was socialism in a sceptical age, is what you do when you go into government, you have to, in that immediate period, is concentrate on the living standard issues of working class people and get the money out there, get delivery on the housing as rapidly as possible, rent controls, all that sort of thing. So you materially improve people's lives within the first year. And then
so they see the difference.
They can see the difference, but also in that way you quell the coups, because if people want a coup, said, okay, we'll call another general election because we'll win it even greater. So it's that sort of, let's get in there and get it done. That's where I was. And of course I was upset and disappointed that we didn't get in, but what it did, it boosted everyone's confidence that there's the potential.
Would you get 41% of the vote? 41%?
Yeah, it's 40.
So the reason I think that's important is that the biggest stick the left gets hit with is unelectable. People constantly tell me this is a right-wing country, the left can never get elected, Jeremy was always unelectable, John was always unelectable. That 41%, that's more than Blair got in multiple elections. And by the way, when did it turn? When the manifesto leaked. So how much is 2017, even though we didn't win, an example for you that the left can win in this country?
Yeah. That was brilliant, wasn't it, really? When we're sitting round and Seamus comes in and goes, the manifesto's been leaked.
Yeah.
And then, oh, well, fair enough, we have to get out there and explain all that sort of thing. But what it gave us 3 days of coverage of our manifesto. And so that
wasn't done on purpose. It wasn't leaked on purpose.
Everyone thinks it was.
Because it was a masterclass.
I know.
Whatever fucker leaked it, it was a masterclass.
Well, I said in an interview, it wasn't us, but I'll tell you, I'll do it next time. But it meant people then started reading the manifesto or reading the summaries we put out. And the policies were popular.
Because you can imagine people, because it leaked, people are like, let me see what these guys are up to. And then they're reading it going, I want that. It was
almost as though they were involved in the secret document type thing. And then the manifesto was a good manifesto. It was popular and it addressed the real, and it was we stood up and said, we're going to end austerity. That's it now. Working class people are going to get what they need. And it was social democratic. It wasn't revolutionary socialist, it was social democratic. And it went with the tide.
Because they spent 2 years calling you guys crazies and radicals. And I think people read it and went, That's
right. Yeah. Anyway, my view at that time was we've got this far. Now, everyone thought, well, it's just going to be another push to the next. It was never going to be that.
Yeah.
The issue then is the establishment saw, oh my God, we could have a socialist government.
Yeah, then they really came for you.
Then they had to pile it in even more.
Yeah. Why did we lose in 2019?
Right, what happened?
I've got an answer, but let's see if
my view is, we get to 17. Everyone thought, just one more push. It wasn't going to be one more push. It had to be much more radical than that.
Yeah.
But we got completely diverted by Brexit.
That's what I
thought.
We couldn't.
We just
people don't appreciate. I was a candidate in 2019, right? So I knocked on door. Literally,
every issue.
People think it was Jeremy, it was the left politics, it was X, Y, and Z. It was Brexit.
We couldn't manage. We couldn't. The problem was this, wasn't it? It's like me. This was a pro-Brexit constituency.
Yeah.
But the party and me will remain.
Yeah.
That was the problem. And so within the party, we could not. We tried everything we could possibly do to say, well, is there a compromise? We'll negotiate a new deal and we'll put it to the people. That sort of thing. That didn't work either. And people saying, well, you should take a Brexit position. And we said, okay, you can try. You can, but so let's poll that, shall we?
Yeah.
Because all it meant was that people were saying, well, thank you very much, but we'll vote for the Tories or the real Brexit party, UKIP or whatever. Yeah. So you could never satisfy.
Because we got caught between people think about it now. They forget the moment we were in at that point, right? Because people were telling us, you should have gone full Brexit or you should have gone full Remain. We couldn't have done either because our membership was Remain, right? Yeah. But the country was Leave. This bothers me, so I'm going to say it on camera again, and I can cut it if you want. People have put that on your door.
I know.
That you're fucking conference voted for the policy that we put on the ballot paper.
But also, I didn't want Jeremy taking the hit for all this. So it was me who said, I made that. Literally.
But we couldn't have gone anywhere else. B, conference voted for that anyway. It bothers me. You can tell. And C, you were amongst a range of different cabinet members who were talking about what we did. It's easy to say now.
But what happened? This sounds pious on my part, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We lose on the Thursday. On the Friday, I was really worried because there was almost like a lynching of Jeremy, political lynching of Jeremy. So I contacted Andrew Marr for the Marr show at the time, what Conisbrough does now. And I said, I'll do my interview with you. Come round my house. So they brought all the cameras on the Saturday. And I said, I went straight to camera and said, look, if there's a lot of people trying to blame people in the election, if you want to blame anyone, it's me. It was me. I chaired the campaign committee, so blame me. I lost it. Full stop.
I wish you hadn't said that.
Well, no,
because it wasn't your fault.
No, but someone had to. Someone had to take the blame because in other times everyone runs from taking the blame or taking responsibility.
The point is, we all got it. We did get it wrong, but we all got it wrong.
The point that I was trying to make time and time again was every time we shifted towards a Brexit position, we lost Remainers to the Lib Dems and whatever, you know. Every time we moved further Remain, we lost Brexit to the others.
A lot of working class communities as well.
So that was the reality. So we were in a position, one that is contingency really, we were in a position, literally, no matter which way we moved, we'd lose support.
Yeah.
So therefore we tried the classic compromise, and that upset everyone. Yeah. That's simple as that.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, we just take it to conference. Conference took a clear decision, and that was it.
Yeah.
All through, we in negotiations with Theresa May, and the argument is, why didn't you do the deal with Theresa May and get a deal through, and that was it, you know?
Was there a parliamentary majority?
Oh no. What happened was, the issue for us was this: the negotiations with Theresa May, the Tories were looking at us, and we were looking at them, and it really was about who split biggest and who split first.
Yeah.
That was about, and we'd already lost Chucker and Mooner, and that lot had gone. Yeah. And I was worried, we were in a difficult position, that we could be in a situation where so many Labour MPs split away from us. We could be in opposition as the smallest party, and you're replaced by this group, and that was it. So in the negotiation with Theresa May, we did our best to say, could we come to some form of deal? But the reality is they couldn't deliver.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it would have split our party. And that was proven, because when Theresa May announced she was going to go, the negotiations were still going on. Every one of those who were standing to replace her said they wouldn't endorse the deal, or implement the deal that if we did it, and that was it. So we were in an impossible position, really. And when we went into that election, we tried to say, well, this is the compromise, but
I think we would. So I look back, because I'll be honest, I think it's the first time I'm saying this on camera. I agreed with the position that we came out of conference from.
Yeah.
I was wrong, right? But when I look back, I go, okay, if we'd gone full Brexit, I still think we would have lost. And if we'd gone full Remain, I also think we would have lost. Yeah. Because we were the only party that was split, because the Tories could have gone more Brexit. Lib Dems, it was easy to go full Remain. We were the ones that were split between working class communities, many of whom voted Brexit, and a membership that was Remain.
And every issue we went on the doorstep on was interpreted through Brexit.
And we tried to pivot it to the NHS and stuff. You just couldn't get over.
But when you went along and argued for the NHS, they said, "Oh yeah, but you get more money from the NHS.
Yeah.
It's written on the side of a bus how much more if you went for Brexit."
Yeah.
So every issue, they was interpreted via Brexit.
Yeah. Where we are now with the Labour Party, it's not good. Look, I think, regardless of what faction or what political ideological position you might be in, the general agreement, we're polling at between 17 to 20%. I've never seen a new government lose enthusiasm this quickly, or didn't really have much to begin with coming in. Scandal after scandal, really. Mandelson's just been sacked. How do we move forward? How do we save the Labour Party from oblivion? Because look, I think we're all expecting in the May general election, in the May local elections, it's not going to be good. Yeah. And reform, I want to talk about reform separately.
Yeah.
What advice would you give?
I did a thing for The Guardian a couple of weeks ago, a 5-step sort of thing. And in virtually every meeting I've done within the Labour Party, and to others really, I've tried to say, look, this is an incredibly dangerous moment we're in. We've got the prospect of the Labour Party literally falling apart and reform coming in, a far-right government. And it isn't just about losing a Labour government. We could lose the Labour Party overall. That's the problem. So I just said, look, the first thing you do is stop making blunder after blunder, winter fuel allowance, not scrapping the 2-child limit, cuts to disability benefits, and the appalling position on Gaza. Just stop making, because what Labour has done since in power, systematically they seem to have done, is alienated every section of our support.
The thing is, if you close your eyes and you don't look at the logo and you don't know who the person is, it doesn't look like a Labour government.
No, well, that's the second thing I said. Stop making these blunders, because the people in charge don't seem to have any political nous. Mandelson's a good point. Last December when they appointed Mandelson, I said...
You tweeted it,
I tweeted it. I just... people,
you could see this coming.
Many people would political judgment of the leader doing this. But it just shows you that one bump, failure after failure is systematically in our support. That's the first thing. The second thing, why is that happening? It's happening because we have a leadership that doesn't listen to its membership. relies upon most probably focus groups that are never, my view is, I've used focus groups. In fact, I was one of the first politicians to do it when I ran the GRC campaign and all the rest. But what you have to do is, you don't go along to focus groups and say, what would you like us to say? You go along and say, this is what we're going to say. What language do we want to use? Yeah. How can we convince you? And that sort of thing. And they've been listening to the focus groups, not listening to members. And even the members of the Parliamentary Labour Party, when they're coming back from their constituencies and saying, I'll tell you, this is going down like a lead balloon, instead of listening to them, they get disciplined.
Yeah, you know what? I was in Parliament the other day, and we just had a dinner. And a lot of MPs have told me they're not listening to me. They won't even pick up the phone. They're disrespectful. Yeah. When I raise that I'm hearing this in my constituency, they tell me to bugger off. Yeah. And then and by the way, they're petrified. They're absolutely petrified to put a toe out of line in case they get chucked out.
Yeah. And you come back and you say, I can't support this. Then you get the threat of the withdrawal of the whip. And if you do vote for an amendment or against it, you then lose the whip. And losing the whip is serious because it means you can't stand again if you don't get it back. So it's that listening and a centralisation of control completely around the courtiers within Starmer's office. I'm not even sure if it's Starmer, the Max Sweeney operation. And there's an arrogance there where they seem to have believed their own commentaries, if you like, that have been written up in the media, that they're tactical and strategic geniuses, brilliant at what they're doing. And yet, we've almost destroyed our electoral base in 12 months.
So I guess a lot of what you say, we got to return to Labour values. Right?
Well, I think one is start listening. And if you start listening to our members, they'll be very clear about what they want. And they want a government that significantly redistributes wealth and power in our country. When I was on the GLC, I booked the Royal Albert Hall, and this was a fundraising concert for the miners during the dispute. These are the hunger strikers.
Oh. Yeah. Who's done this?
Oh, one of the school children locally, which was really nice.
There's a lot of demoralisation amongst Labour members. A lot of people saying this isn't the party I joined. What would you say to them?
Well, we've lost a couple 100,000, haven't we?
Yeah. They've stopped even telling us what number it is.
Yeah. And I can understand that. Because they campaigned and worked for a Labour government, and they don't recognise this as a Labour government at the moment. What we have to say to them very, very clearly is, look, whatever people think, the Labour Party at the moment is the only vehicle that we've got realistically, electorally at the moment. And things can change rapidly within the Labour Party. I've been in the party 50 years, and things at different times, different waves occur, and sometimes it's the right in control, sometimes the left, centre, left, and it is a broad church. I think there's a new wave building, and it's building on the base of trying to learn the lessons of the failure of the last 12 months. And there's a large number of people in the party who are saying, we can't take this anymore, we demand change. And that's about change of policy, but it might well be change of personnel as well. I'll be frank about it. Yeah. I can't see Keir Starmer surviving if we continue on like this, because as you say, we're behind in the polls. We're losing council seat after council seat. Our average vote is going down by between 10 and 20%. And we've got these elections next year.
The PLP are furious.
Where we could be hammered and the PLP are. So I think what we're saying to our party members, we understand how disillusioned you are, but things can change. We're the only electoral vehicle at the moment, and they could change rapidly. Yeah. And there's a wave building that's going to bring about that change.
I think that's really important, because you have seen many iterations of the Labour Party, right? That's not a pop at your age.
No,
You've just seen loads of leaders, right?
It's true.
So the Labour Party of Tony Blair to the Labour Party of Jeremy Corbyn, to the Labour Party of Keir Starmer, things can change quite quickly. And this is what I often say, and I'm finding it harder to say these days, but the Labour Party itself is the terrain of the fight.
And you have to be on the pitch. Yeah. You have to be on the pitch. So I can understand why people have left, disillusioned, etc. But my view is, for those that have stayed, recognise that change is coming, you need to be part of it. For those that have left, think about it coming back in. Because we need as many bodies in the party, because we need to win those democratic elections.
And I'll tell you what worries me. Nigel Farage terrifies me. Muslim, I'm a refugee to this country. And a reform, far-right Nigel Farage government scares me more than any political party or any political leader has ever scared me. Because the polls are saying they could be headed to government. And I don't know what that means for me, my kids, my family, my friends. if you do the parliamentary arithmetic, and I hate this, and I'm not telling people to vote Labour just to stop someone else. I don't think it's fair to kind of guilt trip people or bully them into voting anyway. The Labour Party should earn their votes 100%. But I don't see a parliamentary arithmetic or a parliamentary route to stopping reform that doesn't have Labour on the front of that line. And if we don't change, then I think we put Farage into number 10. So part of my call for people to fight in the Labour Party is we have to be on the front line of stopping Farage now with others. But even this new party, if they do fantastically and the Greens do fantastically, you still need the Labour Party to be involved in that fight to stop Farage.
And we have to be straight with people. Richard Bergen's put it succinctly, is that Labour could lose votes to the left but seats to the right. That's the problem. We could split the left vote. So there needs to be an understanding of the risk that we're in. In terms of the other parties, on the Greens, I welcome the election of Zach Polanski. I've been on platforms with him. The new party that's being formed on the left, your party, and Jeremy and Zara. The reality is Jeremy and Zara would be Labour MPs now if they weren't forced out of the party. And my view on that is that actually whatever happens with the Labour Party, some of the campaigning we do is about welcoming them back, reuniting the left as best we can. I don't see that as feasible under the current leadership, but you don't know what leadership will be there in the next 18 months. And we need to be thinking about how we reunite the left in that way. And in that way, as an electoral machine, we can then block the reform. I know it's not about just motivating people to block reform. You need to motivate people positively about what a Labour government can do. But you've got to take into account the risk that reform poses as well. The issue is, in difficult times like this, you have to help people get through because you know there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we will get through. And we will. The left, there's a new wave building now. It's a new generation coming through. And whatever structures are being established, it will mean we'll.
So you're still hopeful?
Oh God, yeah. We'll go on to the next plateau, basically.
Yeah. Let me talk to you about the far right. You've seen it before in the 70s specifically. Just driving here today, this is, I mean, consider this my home as well. Flags everywhere. I don't have a problem with flags, but it's an indication of, it's often, particularly the wave of protests and riots we've seen, it's been associated with the far right. We've seen that here. How worried about it are you? And you fought it before, so what advice would you give us?
In this constituency, the issue of flags is on targeted estates, right? So Bell Farm Estate, where I used to live, that's where we always had problems with the NF and BNP. We managed to win politically on that estate, but they've targeted that in particular. It's interesting, when they organised a demonstration to one of the local asylum hotels, I didn't recognise many local people.
Oh, I looked through the video.
And there was, I don't think there was any brown or black faces either, so it doesn't reflect our community because we're so diverse. In Central Hayes, that isn't the case. We haven't had the flags going up. So what we have to do is mobilise. But it is frightening. It is really frightening because I'll give you the example. On that demonstration, people said, oh, this is a peaceful walk and demonstration. Fair enough. People have the right to protest. But a group of people in masks turned up, quite organised, tried to break into one of the hotels and had fights with the police and injured the police. So it isn't just a peaceful march. What's happening is far-right organisations are cynically using and manipulating those marches to perpetrate violent action. And it's worrying. And in the old days, it was bad enough under the BNP and NF, and it was violent. My windows smashed, bottles smashed into my children's sandpit. Every wheel nut on my car was loosed on one occasion. So it was violent at that time, but we overcame it by building resilience. Now we've got to do exactly the same.
How reminiscent is this of that?
It's worse. It's worse. It is. Yeah. I was talking to the local police the other day, and I said, the atmosphere now feels like just before Stephen Lawrence got murdered. Right. That's how bad it is, and that's what I'm worried about. So that's why I think we've got to shake people up and say this is the threat. So we need to come together. I keep saying whatever political party you're in, we need a popular front. Really, the old-fashioned. We've come together. I know the language, but if you're in the Greens, if you're in the New Party, if you're in the Labour Party, or if you're in any other campaigning organisation, we need to come together, start working together to defeat this threat, because it is that serious.
You have been, I would say, one of the most influential figures for the left in this country for 20, 30 years. But I think it's safe to say you're at the latter end of your career now. There's this wave of younger generation, new left-wing activists, organisations, politicians coming through. I would love for you to give them some advice based on sort of 30, 40 years of experience. I mean, I still think, by the way, you have an enormous amount to contribute. I wanted you to stand, right? But you keep telling me in colourful language to go away. But I think we can learn. I've learned so much from you, and I want younger, particularly, forget my age, like 18, 19, 20-year-old people who consider themselves on the left to learn from your experience. What would you tell them? Well,
first of all, never use the word career. It's not a career. It's not. If you think what you're doing is a career, we're sunk, to be honest, because it isn't about that. Because otherwise, if you say career, it seems like self-interest. It isn't. Going back to the old Catholic days, to be honest, I say to people when they come into Parliament like that, it's much more of a vocation.
Okay.
What you're doing is you're devoting your life to improving the life of your constituents and the country and the world. So feel it that way, because it's a
mindset, right?
It's a mindset. It's an honour to be there, but you're there to serve, and that's the genuine thing. The issue for me now, the key issue, is solidarity. We can't allow, and when we're faced with such an overwhelming threat at the moment from the far right, we can't allow anything to divide us. So for the next generation coming through, everything they do has got to be on the basis of how do we build solidarity. But the best way of building solidarity is actually really at that grassroots level, community level, building people together in that way. Well, you realise you should have shaved your nasal hair or something like that.
Yeah, I should. Are you telling me something?
Oh, me.